Yes, good afternoon, dear students. Today we'll continue in the third module. So, last class we are seeing about the 6-step safety methods. What are the 6 steps to be followed for a safe operation? Okay, we were seeing before that we were seeing about single line diagram. What is the use of a single line diagram? So, these were the things which we were discussing in the last classes, right? So, now we will see upon the 6 safety methods. What are the 6 safety methods which we need to follow for a safe operation? Okay, first one is think, be aware. Okay, and second one is understand your procedures. Third one is follow up your procedures, use appropriate safety equipments, and ask if you are unsure and do not assume. And the last one is do not answer if you do not know. We'll see one by one. What do you mean by think, be aware? As the name says, we should be aware, like many accidents could have been prevented if the injured victim had been concentrated on the safety aspects of job. Otherwise we can say like that is a one-way ticket to an accident without understanding any particular equipment. If you are doing any kind of job means it is an unsafe work, right? So first we should have aware, we should have a proper information about the entire job, what we are going to do, and entire history of that particular equipment. So we should know what are the parameters which we need to follow, what are the procedures which we need to follow before operating with the particular equipment. Or we can say that when we go to a hospital, if we're if we are visiting for the third to fourth time to a hospital, then the doctors will be asking about the histories, right? The previous histories. So these previous histories will be there in the particular electrical equipments also. Like if you are going, before going to for working in a particular generator or a particular transmission side or a particular substation, so they will be maintaining a history of the records. So all the records will be there. You should know that these are the previous faults which are happened to the particular devices and particular equipment. These are the things which we can expect and which we can, so you can predict it, okay, and you can work on it and make sure that you are in safer side. Okay, and we should have be fully aware about the particular equipment before we start the works. Always stay alert to the electrical hazard about the around the work area. So anytime we can expect an accident because we are working in a live energized area. So we should have proper awareness on that. So next one is understanding the procedures. So maybe there may be some procedures will be predefined while installation or of the particular devices or particular equipment. There will be some procedures or protocol will be defined. Okay, there will be some protocols will be defined. So these procedures we need to follow. What is the use of knowing these procedures? Okay, what will be the benefit to the third person or a worker, like for knowing the procedures? Okay, these procedures can save their lives. So if I am just turning off a particular device without knowing the procedure means I may not be knowing where the power supply is coming from. The same example which we discussed in the class. A classroom with 6 ceiling fans and 8 tube lights. And the particular classrooms is supplied by EB board, electricity board, and from the inverter side. Okay, inverter was supplying, like a battery was supplying the power to the particular classroom, and also from the EB side. If the EB current fails, what will happen? The automatically the system will senses the power failure in the EB, and automatically the inverter will be supplying the electricity to the particular appliances, right? So at that time, if I am just turning only the EB power supply, what will happen? If I am doing some maintenance, I will be affecting with electric shock. So if I am turning off the battery side also, what will happen? I will be saved. Okay, I should follow these safety procedures. So in the data sheet, on the name line, on the tag line, it will be properly mentioned. There we have an inverter or a battery power supply. We have an inverter power supply, or we have an UPS system. It will be properly mentioned. All the employee should go through this extensive safety training. Okay, there may be before, just if you're just going for substation related work, or if you're going to higher voltage related works means there will be some kind of training will be there. So we'll be saying that these trainings, we know all those things, we have studied all those things, and we'll be going for work. But we may not be knowing each and every safety procedures which incorporate along only for the particular device. So we need to go and we need to attend all these safety trainings. And third one is follow your procedures. So the procedures will be mentioned over there. So if these procedures are not followed, what will happen? Definitely we will be in trouble. So violation of all the safety procedures without good cause should be a discharge offense. The next one is use appropriate safety equipment. So it doesn't mean that I am an expert in a electrical related of works. So we can say if it is a computer related programming works, or if it is a C programming, or a Python programming, if it is Java programming, we can say that I am an expert. I am an expert. Like if some error happened also, we can reticulate it. We can solve those errors very easily. Or if you are an expert means definitely we can solve those errors easily and there won't be any accidents. But in the case of an electrical work, what will happen? If some errors or some fault happen, it is a huge accident. It is a huge loss. Always think that we should always consider, we should think that there is an accident in front of us and we should work. Okay. So accident, it doesn't mean that there should not be any accident happening in the electrical safety. So if a lineman is working in the roof, like on the top of an electrical pole, what will happen if a strong lightning comes? Faulted. If there is a circuit break fails, what will happen? So all those things. So we need to consider that, we need to think that any time we can expect the accident. So we can expect the any kind of failures we can expect. If sometimes the switch gear fails, the same thing happen. So we can have, which will be affected of electric shock. So what will happen if there is a fault occurs? The same thing we discussed in the second module. There can be an arc can be formed and blast can be also formed. Also sometimes it becomes necessary for employees to work on very close energized conductors. So this was the thing which is quoted in your textbooks, that ignorance kills and injuries many people each year. So what do you mean by ignorance? So if I am ignoring a small live conductor, what will happen? So I was showing in previous images, like I was showing, while I was showing many images in your class, I was showing one image, right? The floor, with a wet floor, which is having many live wires, which is lying down the concreting area. So what will happen if the wet concreting area with a live wire which is of puncture? What will happen? So if it is, every workers might know that this particular wire is puncture and they might be ignoring. Okay, so they might be ignoring that. They will be thinking that there won't be any fault, there won't be any accidents will occur, and I am safe. Okay, what will happen at the later stage? These kind of ignorance may lead to the fault. If unknowingly, if he is stepping into that particular live wire, what will happen? Definitely he will be affecting with electric shock. So in the most of the construction site, what will happen? There will be many different teams of the person will be working over the particular in the particular places itself. Many workers will be working. The many different teams of workers will be working, right? So then each and every team may not be knowing the particular power supply is coming from which place. Okay, definitely the power supply will be coming from the from the distribution box of the main switchboard, and there may be many switchboards which will be splitted up in different parts, different places, but they may not be knowing. Okay, so maybe the switchboard for a particular switchboard may be designed for a low voltage applications, but if you are using a higher voltage application, means definitely the switchboard will be melted off, right? So you may not be knowing. And if you are just working with a higher industry, and you may not be knowing the entire history of the particular industry, particular equipment. So definitely you can ask your higher authority so about the working. So I may not be knowing the particular device working, particular equipment working. So will you please explain? Will you please say? And for asking all those things, and the particular person should not be fired off. Okay. And also we should not assume this is how it will be working and this is how it should works, and because only the designers know how it is going to work. Okay, maybe the designer have designed the particular equipment for a like practical for experimental purpose. So he may not be also knowing the entire thing. So once after the many trial and error only, he will be knowing this is how it will be working. So these kind of things you should not assume. Okay, so anyone who is uncertain about a particular situation should not be encouraged to ask questions which should them it should be answered by a qualified person immediately. And like like it can be said as like entire history to be explained. Okay, we should like there is a famous quote, right? You should not lie to the doctor. Like a particular equipment like is having some fault means definitely it should be explained to the person. So if you're just buying an second hand electrical equipment, so you should ask the person that what was the previous history, is there a particular equipment was resulted to any fault, have you done any services, how many times you have done the services, how many periodic service you have done and it is skipped. Everything should be said in detail. So next one is do not answer if you do not know. So you may not be the person who designed the particular equipment, and if you do not know, you should say that I'm not sure about this thing and I am not able to answer you. Okay, no one should answer a question if they are not certain of the particularly for the particular answer. Self-proclaimed expert should be kept their opinion to themselves, otherwise it will be leading to the higher electrical faulty times. So these are the 6 steps which we need to follow for a safe operational method. Okay, the first one was think, be aware. You should be aware about the entire thing. You should be aware about the history of the particular equipment and everything. And second one was understanding the procedures. For you need to study the procedures, what you need to be followed. And the third one was following those procedures, whatever the procedures which you have studied to be followed. And the fourth one is use appropriate safety equipment. So if you want to use any circuit breaker before the particular live wire, or if a particular conductor, particular load, or whatever it may be, you should be have that. If you want to have a separate fuse before before a particular equipment, you should have that. Okay, all the safety equipment like appropriate safety equipment should be used. And if you are not, the fifth one was, if you are not unsure, you should not assume. Do not answer if you do not know. Okay, these are the 6 safety methods which you want to follow. Okay, thank you. So these are the 6 steps which we need to follow for a safe operational method. Okay, the first one was think, be aware. You should be aware about the entire thing. You should be aware about the history of the particular equipment and everything. And second one was understanding the procedures. For you should first you need to study the procedures what you need to be followed. And the third one was following those procedures, whatever the procedures which you have studied to be followed. And the fourth one is use appropriate safety equipment. So if you want to follow, if you want to use any circuit breaker before the particular live wire, or if a particular conductor, particular load, or whatever it may be, you should be have that. If you want to have a separate fuse before before a particular equipment, you should have that. Okay, all the safety equipment appropriate safety equipment should be used. And if you are not, the fifth one was if you are not unsure, you should not assume. And the second one was if you do not answer if you do not know. Okay, these are the 6 safety methods which you want to follow. Okay, thank you.